Imagine that the entire history of our planet just broke right now. Today we have brought together in one video everything that scientists either cannot explain or are afraid to explain out loud. Impossible megaliths, underground megacities, alien-like masks, ghost towns, vanished civilizations, and natural anomalies that do not fit into any textbook. We will go all the way from the depths of ancient archaeology to the strangest mysteries of the modern world. It is going to be very interesting, so enjoy watching on the TopFacts channel. Number 50. Hidden Volcano of Yellowstone. Have you ever wondered why Yellowstone draws so much attention? It is not only because of its impressive geysers. Beneath the surface, a gigantic volcano is hiding. In the past several years, an interesting event has occurred. The magma chamber under Yellowstone has risen by about 3 inches, which caught scientists off guard. Although that sounds alarming, there is no immediate danger. Scientists assure that the process is proceeding slowly rather than in leaps. Nevertheless, it is a reminder that Earth's inner mechanisms are extremely active, and we are only beginning to understand how they behave. Number 49. The mysterious WOW signal. In 1977, astronomers recorded an unusual 72-second radio signal from space. Its intensity and strange pattern bewildered scientists. The signal was named WOW, sparking numerous theories. It might have been a random burst of cosmic radiation, or it could be something far more intriguing, a message from an intelligent civilization. To this day, no one knows where it came from, and the search for answers continues. Is it a sign of extraterrestrial life or an inexplicable natural phenomenon? The mystery remains. Number 48. Ancient Craters of England. On a quiet farm in England, a strange discovery was made. Ancient craters that are about 25 million years old. Geologists are trying to understand how they were formed. Were they caused by meteorite impacts or by gas explosions deep underground? Despite years of research, there is still no definitive answer. The ancient craters remain a puzzling part of the landscape, attracting scientists and tourists alike and raising questions about what might have happened millions of years ago. Number 47. The Island of the Dolls. In Mexico, there is a spooky island strewn with hundreds of decaying dolls. They hang from trees or lie on the ground, and their cracked faces and empty eyes create a sinister atmosphere. The origin of this collection is unclear. Some believe the dolls were hung to ward off evil spirits. Others say the island itself harbors a dark history. Whatever the reason, the island remains one of the gloomiest and most mysterious places in the world, captivating the brave souls willing to visit it. Number 46. The White Horse of Oxfordshire. In Oxfordshire, England, a massive white horse is carved into a hillside. This geoglyph gives scientists no peace. No one knows exactly when or why it was created. Some think it dates back to antiquity, others believe it is more modern. Over time, the horse's outlines have changed, deepening the mystery even further. The white horse continues to fire the imagination of viewers, adding to the array of ancient and undeciphered symbols scattered across the British landscape. Number 45. The Lake Michigan Triangle. Lake Michigan has its own Bermuda Triangle, known for strange disappearances and anomalies. One of the most terrifying cases is the vanishing of a Northwest Airlines flight with 108 passengers. Hours later, witnesses saw a strange red light over the lake. Despite extensive searches, no wreckage was found. The mystery of the Lake Michigan Triangle remains unsolved. Number 44. The Forbidden Chambers of the Taj Mahal. Beneath the dazzling white marble of the Taj Mahal lie sealed chambers. For years, scholars have warned that opening them could release carbon monoxide and damage the monument itself. Despite the cautions, rumors persist about curses and ancient secrets hidden inside. Some speculate that the chambers hold keys to the deeper history of the Taj Mahal. Whatever lies beneath, the enigma only adds to the magic of this world treasure. Number 43. The split rock of Al-Nazla. In the Tama oasis of Saudi Arabia stands Al-Nazla, a rock that appears to be sliced in two by a perfectly straight cut, each half resting on its own stone pedestal. The symmetry is so precise that one has to ask, nature or ancient craftsman? The desert emptiness only heightens the mystery, making the formation a subject of intense interest. Is it the work of ancient forces or a miracle of nature? Number 42. The Max Headroom Broadcast. Intrusion. In 1987, something strange happened on the television screens of Chicago. Twice, an unknown hacker hijacked the broadcast, appearing in a Max Headroom mask, babbling incoherently and disrupting the program. The FBI tried to uncover the hacker's identity, but in vain. Was it a prank, a protest, or something more sinister? The intrusion remains one of the most inexplicable in television history and still haunts inquisitive minds. Number 41. The Marble Caves of Patagonia. Deep in the Andes of Patagonia, on General Carrera Lake, lies a series of marble caves. Carved over centuries by water erosion, they are unique for their mesmerizing marble patterns that change color during the day. Their blue hues depend on the light and the season, making each visit unrepeatable. The caves are accessible only by water, and the remoteness adds to the mystery. A true, natural wonder that continues to captivate everyone lucky enough to see it in person. Number 40. The Weather Carousel. Melbourne, Australia is famous for its unpredictable spring weather. Within minutes, bright sunshine and warm air can give way to a cold wind that makes you pull on a sweater. Experts explain the phenomenon by the city's unique position. It lies between scorching inland deserts and cool southern oceans, where air currents constantly collide. The result is a place where you can experience 4 seasons in one day. For some, such variability adds charm and excitement to life. For others, it brings chaos. Either way, Melbourne's weather defies predictions. Number 39. The Mystery of the Paracas Candelabra. On a hill overlooking the coast of Peru lies a giant geoglyph known as the Paracas Candelabra. This colossal figure carved in the sand is shrouded in mystery. Some think the candelabra served as a navigational marker for ancient sailors. Others believe it had a ceremonial purpose. No definitive explanation exists to this day. Despite many theories, the size and precision of the image make it one of the most impressive enigmas, continuing to vex archaeologists and historians. Number 38. The Severed Feet of British Columbia. Since 2007, a strange phenomenon has occurred off the coast of British Columbia. More than a dozen severed human feet, often still in sneakers, have washed ashore. DNA analysis has linked several finds to people who died in accidents or by suicide, yet the appearance of feet alone is alarming. Why do only feet wash ashore? And why so often in this region? Number 37. The Celestial Stone Forest of Wulingyuan. In the misty mountains of Hunan, China, lies the picturesque area of Wulingyuan, a UNESCO World Heritage Site with an almost alien landscape. Tower-like sandstone pillars soar above the forest, some rising more than 200 meters. These natural spires stand among forests, streams, and caves, creating a breathtaking, almost fairy tale scene. Frequent mists impart a mystical atmosphere, as if the place were a set from a fantasy film. A sense of mystery never leaves travelers wandering among the stone columns. Number 36. The Hidden Bodies of Easter Island. The famous stone heads of Easter Island are not just monolithic faces. Excavations have shown that beneath the ground, the statues have complete bodies, hidden for centuries under layers of soil and debris. Scholars are still trying to reveal the secrets of their creation and purpose. Did they honor ancestors, depict deities, or serve another goal? The mystery of the Moai continues to captivate minds and deepen the enigma of Easter Island. Number 35. The ancient Quimbaya artifacts of Colombia. Small gold figurines known as the Quimbaya artifacts spark debate about ancient technology. These objects are thought to be thousands of years old, yet they look astonishingly like modern airplanes, with wings and stabilizers. In 1994, researchers built models of these figurines and proved that their aerodynamics are sound. How could an ancient civilization create such precise designs resembling aviation? The Quimbaya artifacts remain one of the most enigmatic archaeological finds, forcing us to rethink our ideas about ancient technology. Number 34. The Wave Rock of Western Australia. In Australia's outback stands a unique geological formation, Wave Rock. 45 feet high and 360 feet long, it looks like a giant ocean wave frozen in time. Over millions of years, water and wind polished the stone, creating a smooth, curved surface with spectacular stripes. The optical illusion is so impressive that the formation has become one of Australia's most famous natural attractions. Number 33. The Swimming Stone Whales. In northeastern Thailand, 3 massive sandstone formations resemble a swimming family of whales. These stone whales, about 75 million years old, were formed when geological forces pushed layers of rock upward, giving them their striking shape. Standing nearby, you cannot shake the feeling that you are witnessing a petrified scene from prehistoric times. The 3 whales prove what nature can do over immense spans of time. Number 32. The legendary Troll's Tongue. At almost 2,300 feet above Ringadalsvatnet Lake in Norway juts a narrow stone ledge, Trolltunga, the Troll's Tongue. It is one of the most impressive viewpoints in the world. The rock projects from high cliffs, opening a breathtaking view of the fjord. The path here is not easy, yet the brave are rewarded with unforgettable scenery. Local folklore says that trolls, mythical mountain creatures, created the ledge. Whether you believe the legends or not, the sight of Trolltunga is unforgettable. Number 31. The ancient stone pillars of Turkey. Long before the wonders of Egypt or Mesopotamia, about 10,000 years ago, a group of giant stone pillars was erected on the territory of modern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe. Monoliths up to 18 feet high are decorated with intricate carvings of animals. The purpose of these structures is still unknown, yet their scale and craftsmanship point to a highly developed society. The discovery of Göbekli Tepe forced historians to revise their views on the origins of human civilization. Number 30. The Stone Spheres of Costa Rica. In southern Costa Rica, more than 300 perfectly round stone spheres have been discovered, some up to 7 feet in diameter. Carved from solid rock, these geoglyphs have puzzled researchers for many years. Some think they were symbols of power or marked important places. Others suggest a more practical purpose. Despite numerous studies, the true purpose of the ancient spheres remains a mystery. The striking precision of the workmanship speaks to outstanding skill, yet why exactly they were created is still unknown. Number 29. The ominous dark days. Imagine a day when daylight suddenly disappears, plunging everything into complete darkness. It sounds like a scene from a horror film, but this phenomenon has puzzled scientists for many years. Most specialists have ruled out cosmic causes such as eclipses or cosmic dust, yet the exact nature of the phenomenon remains unclear. A popular theory links it to changes in atmospheric transparency. Still, in spite of research and hypotheses, sudden dark days remain a puzzle, ranking among the most curious natural phenomena in history. Number 28. The Effigy Mound. In North America, there exists an ancient mound whose outlines resemble an animal stretched out on the ground. The age of this effigy mound is measured in millennia, and for decades it has fired the imagination of researchers. Excavations have revealed copper tools, bones, and stone artifacts, indicating the monument's significant role in the builder's culture. Some believe the mound was used for ceremonial purposes, perhaps to honor the stars or mark important celestial events. The mystery of its true purpose remains unsolved, prompting reflection on its meaning for ancient peoples. Number 27. The Phantom Sargasso Sea. The Sargasso Sea, located in the northern Atlantic, is wrapped in maritime legends and mysteries. This outwardly calm stretch of ocean is known for ship disappearances. Over the years, according to reports, dozens of vessels, including passenger liners, have vanished without a trace. Explanations range from powerful whirlpools to underwater tornadoes. Despite its placid appearance, the Sargasso Sea continues to frighten sailors. There is still no convincing explanation for why so many ships disappear in its waters. Number 26. A dinosaur frozen in time. In 2011, miners in Canada stumbled upon one of the most astounding paleontological discoveries, a nodosaur 110 million years old. Weighing about 3,000 pounds and 18 feet long, it is preserved as if it had simply fallen asleep. Skin and even spiked armor plates remain intact, offering a unique window into the distant past. Scientists were amazed by the degree of preservation after millions of years. The find remains one of the most remarkable in paleontology, and researchers are still determining how such preservation was possible. Now, it is time for the Top Facts hot section. This snapshot is one of the strangest we have ever seen, so strange that it is hard to understand what it shows and how to explain it. Yet that is exactly what makes it a perfect candidate for a video about the world's mysteries. Taken by a drone, the frame seems to depict a gigantic staircase leading into the sky, like a scene from the classic British film A Matter of Life and Death. The oddity is that since then, no one has managed to find this place again. Number 25. The natural masterpiece of the Faroe Islands. Rising high from the waters of the North Atlantic are the sea stacks of Drangarnir, among the most impressive natural monuments of the Faroe Islands. These towering rocks resemble stone gates carved by time and sea. Getting here is no easy task. Visitors face a challenging hike or a boat trip. One cannot go alone. A guide must be hired for 550 Danish kroner, or about 75 United States dollars. But on the spot, a magical scene opens. Emerald hills meet roaring waves. Drangarnir serve as an unforgettable reminder of the colossal power of nature. Number 24. The lost treasures of the Caucasus. In the Caucasus Mountains, ancient stone structures hide age-old secrets. These megalithic buildings, some sealed with mysterious stone plugs, are unlike anything else in the region. Inside, archaeologists have found old ornaments, bronze tools, and pottery. Their purpose is disputed. Are they religious structures or burial sites? The sealed entrances only heighten the intrigue, keeping the treasures and the full history of the structures secret for the time being. Number 23. The Hinterkaifeck murders. In 1922, a brutal crime shook the quiet German farmstead of Hinterkaifeck. An entire family was killed. The killer's identity was never revealed. One theory suggests the perpetrator hid in the attic for several days, waiting for the moment. Almost no evidence remained, leaving investigators at a dead end. A jealous neighbor, a solitary avenger, or something even more sinister? The story of Hinterkaifeck still frightens historians and crime enthusiasts a century later. Number 22. The hum. Imagine constantly hearing a low humming sound that no one around you notices. This phenomenon, known as the hum, affects about 4% of the world's population. Scientists have proposed various explanations, from underground seismic activity to auditory hallucinations, but the source remains unclear. Those who hear the hum describe it as an intrusive low-frequency sound that makes life difficult. Despite years of research, the hum still eludes science, remaining one of the most mysterious anomalies. Number 21. The disappearance of the Harappan civilization. About 4,000 years ago, one of the world's most advanced civilizations, the Harappan, vanished. Its cities were notable for thoughtful layout and sophisticated drainage systems. But for unknown reasons, the flourishing society collapsed. Was climate change, invasion, or epidemic to blame? Despite large-scale archaeological projects, no definite answer exists. The fall of the Harappans continues to fascinate scholars searching for the key to an ancient world mystery. Number 20. The Marfa Lights. In the clear Texas sky, glowing orbs have appeared for centuries. The Marfa Lights. These mystical lights emerge without warning, astonishing locals and tourists. Some regard them as reflections of car headlights on the horizon. Others see a rare atmospheric phenomenon. And there are those who think they are something much stranger. Over decades of study, no unambiguous explanation has been given, and the Marfa Lights remain one of the most persistent enigmas of modern folklore. Number 19. The Hoodoos of Bryce Canyon. In southern Utah, Bryce Canyon National Park showcases one of nature's most impressive spectacles, the hoodoos. These tower-like stone spires, carved by millions of years of erosion, form an amphitheater of bright red, orange, and white limestone. At sunrise and sunset, the colors come alive, shimmering with gold and crimson, turning the place into a paradise for photographers. The high elevation and wide panoramas offer not only beauty, but also a sense of awe, drawing visitors from around the world. Number 18. Meghalaya, the wettest place on Earth. In northeastern India lies a region where rain seems never to cease, Meghalaya, the wettest place on the planet. The annual rainfall here exceeds 467 inches, constantly enveloping the land in moisture. How does such a small area hold so much water? Unique geography with high hills and monsoon winds creates ideal conditions for torrential rain. The endless downpours have formed lush forests and waterfalls, making Meghalaya one of the most striking corners of the Earth. Number 17. The untouched tomb of Qin Shi Huang. The tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, is one of the greatest archaeological monuments in the world. Hidden beneath a massive mound, it is almost unexplored, its contents still veiled in mystery. Scholars believe the complex includes rivers of mercury, intricate tunnels, and immeasurable treasures. Robots are planned for exploration, yet most of the site remains off-limits. The story of Qin Shi Huang's final resting place is still locked away, tantalizing researchers and history lovers. Number 16. The Fiery Furnace of Dalol. Dalol, located in the Danakil Depression of Ethiopia, is considered the hottest inhabited place on the planet. The temperature makes permanent residence impossible. Yet despite the extreme heat, the region lures scientists and adventurers. Volcanic activity and salt deposits have created a surreal landscape of vivid colors and boiling springs. The harsh climate and alien scenery turn Dalol into living proof of Earth's fiery power. Number 15. The disappearing residents of Nome, Alaska. Between 1960 and 2004, more than 24 people vanished without trace in the town of Nome. Is the harsh weather to blame, or does the cause lie in something supernatural? Despite investigations, the disappearances remain unexplained. Some say the area is cursed, others mention possible alien abductions. No wreckage, no bodies, no clear clues. The mystery of Nome continues to perplex. Number 14. The Bermuda Triangle and Flight. 19. In 1945, 5 United States Navy planes known as Flight 19 disappeared without a trace over the Bermuda Triangle. Despite extensive searches, no wreckage was ever found. The aircraft seemed to dissolve in the ocean. Was bad weather to blame, mechanical failure, or something mystical? The Bermuda Triangle is famous for inexplicable disappearances, and the story of Flight 19 is one of the most renowned. Number 13. The Spotted Sahara. Only from space are the mysterious circular patterns stretching across the Sahara Desert visible. Their origin has puzzled researchers for many years. Some consider them remnants of ancient water systems. Others think they are traces of early oil exploration. There are even theories about extraterrestrial involvement. The source of the strange marks remains one of the greatest mysteries of the desert. Number 12. The Sealed Door of Machu Picchu. In 2010, French engineer David Cressy used three-dimensional scanning to discover a sealed door at Machu Picchu. Its purpose is unknown. Perhaps a royal tomb or hidden treasure lies behind it. An underground network of aqueducts was detected beneath the site. Despite numerous requests, authorities refused to open the door, fearing damage to the sacred monument. For now, Machu Picchu's secrets remain locked behind this enigmatic barrier. Number 11. The Antikythera mechanism. More than 2,000 years ago, a shipwreck off the island of Antikythera revealed a unique artifact, the Antikythera mechanism. This device, resembling a complex analog computer, could predict eclipses, track lunar phases, and count down to important events. Amazingly, comparable technology did not reappear for 1,500 years. The Antikythera mechanism remains one of the greatest technological marvels of antiquity, casting doubt on our understanding of ancient peoples' capabilities. Number 10. The Submerged Pyramid of Yonaguni. Near the Japanese island of Yonaguni, divers discovered a structure resembling an underwater pyramid. Terraces, stepped forms, and carvings similar to images of animals and people have divided experts. Some consider it the ruins of an ancient city swallowed by the ocean. Others think it is a quirk of nature. Debate continues. Is it the creation of a civilization or merely an intriguing geological formation? The truth lies beneath the water. Number 9. The Voynich Manuscript, the world's most mysterious book. Imagine a book that has puzzled scholars for more than a century. Found in 1912, the Voynich Manuscript contains plants that do not exist in nature, strange zodiac signs, and a language no one has deciphered. Some illustrations resemble unknown species, prompting speculation that the author possessed knowledge beyond our world. Why create such an intricate text? Despite many attempts, the cipher has not been cracked, and the manuscript's origin and meaning remain veiled in mystery. Number 8. The Bisti de Nazin Desert. Like another world, the Bisti de Nazin wilderness unfolds in New Mexico. Here rises a fantastic landscape of strange stone towers and hoodoos that resemble sculptures. The name Bisti comes from the Navajo word for large shale hills, and denazin from petroglyphs of birds. For millions of years, erosion has shaped the rock into forms of mushrooms and eggs. Strolling through this alien landscape leaves you feeling as though you have stepped into another reality. Number 7. The Gates of Hell. In the heart of Turkmenistan burns the Darvaza gas crater, the Gates of Hell. The fire in this pit has been burning non-stop for more than 50 years. In 1971, while drilling a well, scientists accidentally punctured a huge gas pocket. To prevent the release of poisonous gases, they set it on fire, expecting the flames to die out after a few days. Yet the fire still burns, emanating heat and creating a sinister atmosphere as if Earth had opened its fiery core. Number 6. The Mysterious Nazca Lines. Across the Peruvian desert stretch gigantic geoglyphs, the Nazca Lines, depicting animals, plants, and complex patterns. They can only be fully seen from the air. Some researchers think the lines served as an astronomical calendar, others as a ritual guide. Perhaps they had a dual purpose, or perhaps something entirely different. No hypothesis has yet given a definitive answer, and the Nazca Lines continue to intrigue historians. Number 5. The Moeraki boulders. On the Otago coast of New Zealand lie enormous spherical Moeraki boulders up to 6 feet in diameter. Geologists explain their formation by mineral layers precipitating around hard cores, yet Maori legends tell another tale. According to legend, they are eel baskets from a mythical canoe washed ashore. Whether you interpret the boulder's origin scientifically or mythically, their monumentality inspires awe at nature's power. Number 4. Árbol de Piedra. In Eduardo Avaroa National Reserve in Bolivia rises an unusual rock formation, Árbol de Piedra, the stone tree, about 16 feet high. Sandstone has been carved by the desert's fierce winds, creating an image reminiscent of a surrealist sculpture. The desert expanse around the tree accentuates its uniqueness, turning the formation into one of Bolivia's most curious natural sights. Number 3. The Valley of Milly. In the heart of France lies a valley shrouded in legend, the Valley of Milly. In the 17th century, rumor had it that a secret society of Milly Illuminati met here. The valley's whispering rocks, said to carry echoes of old conversations, allegedly served as a meeting place for great minds discussing cosmic mysteries and forbidden knowledge. Overgrown paths and the ruins of an old chapel deepen the eerie atmosphere, prompting the thought that the valley's ghosts of the past may still wander. Number 2. The giant California intaglios. In the desert near the Colorado River, enormous geoglyphs are engraved. One of the largest designs is believed to depict the creator of life. The patterns are visible only from the air, raising questions. How were they made and why? The scale suggests the creators understood their surroundings perfectly. Some say the figures had spiritual significance, others that they marked important sites. Whatever their purpose, the giant intaglios remain one of California's greatest unsolved riddles. Number 1. The chilling legend of Highgate Cemetery. Highgate Cemetery in London is not only the final resting place of celebrities such as Douglas Adams. For decades, rumors have circulated about a vampire roaming among the graves under cover of night. Visitors and paranormal hunters tell of strange visions and unsettling feelings along the cemetery's winding paths. Is it real or merely the product of a vivid imagination? Whispers of the vampire continue to stir minds, making people wonder whether something supernatural hides in Highgate or whether it is merely a legend fueled by fear and folklore.
Beneath the small town of Paula lies a 3-level underground complex of the 4th-3rd millennia BCE, a sanctuary and necropolis at once. The upper tier consists of expanded natural cavities. The middle and lower are exquisitely carved chambers with columns and vaults, as if surface architecture were transplanted underground. Remains of more than 7,000 people were found, along with ceramics, beads, figurines. The most famous chamber is the Oracle Room, with astonishing acoustics. A voice at certain frequencies, about 110 Hz, resonates throughout the complex. The body feels the vibration. Was this intentionally calculated? It seems so. The effect is too striking to be accidental. The walls are adorned with spirals and, rare for Europe, red ochre paintings, among the oldest. As usual in the Neolithic, the riddles are both technical and semantic. How did they dig so deep with stone tools, while maintaining stability and ventilation? Why create such a unique object? And why did the tradition not continue? The sleeping lady, a miniature figurine of a reclining woman, sparks debate. Fertility, death, and rebirth. We see enormous efforts invested in a symbolic space, and we know almost nothing about the scripts enacted there. Summer of 1908. The Palace of Phaistos in Crete. The Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier lifts from the earth a round clay disc about 15 centimeters in diameter. On both sides, a spiral of impressed signs. 241 imprints, 45 different symbols. The crucial point: the signs were not incised, but stamped. An early example of movable type. Dating: mid-2nd millennium BCE, the heyday of Minoan civilization. Crete already had scripts, Cretan hieroglyphs and linear A. The latter is still unread but occurs often. Yet the Disca's sign system is unique. It has no peers. What is it? A hymn? A calendar? A game? A magical text? Proposals abound, but without a Rosetta Stone, it's all guesswork. A single object is too narrow a base for a confident decipherment. The context of the find: a basement, nearby Minoan materials, but the purpose is unclear. If someone went to the trouble of making a set of stamps, the intent must have been serious. Why did the system not go into series? A prototype of writing that failed to develop? A one-off sacred item? Today the disc is kept in the Heraclean Museum and continues to tease philologists and archaeologists, an ideal symbol of a message from the past that we cannot yet read. On the east bank of the Nile, in the Aswan Granite Quarry, lies one of the most candid and at the same time enigmatic artifacts of ancient Egypt, the unfinished obelisk. Had it been completed and raised, it would have been the largest stone monolith in the history of the Egyptians, roughly 42 meters long and weighing over 1,000 tons. Its unfinished state is the whole intrigue. We see the process, but we don't fully understand the how. The obelisk is cut on 3 sides and still holds to the bedrock below. Most researchers tie the commission to the era of Hatshepsut, the 15th century BCE, a time of gigantic building projects. Hatshepsut adored obelisks and erected them at Karnak. 2 of them are still among the tallest in Egypt today. The Aswan obelisk, judging by its scale, was conceived as her crowning monument. Why did they stop? As they dug deeper, natural cracks in the granite began to spread. Workers struck with dolerite pudding stones, removing layer after layer, and at some point it became clear. The risk was too great. The giant could split. The work was abandoned. But more questions than answers remain. First, logistics. How could you even move a slab of 1,000 tons? Theories include sledges on greased tracks, thousands of people pulling, a special barge down the Nile. But for such a mass, even these scenarios seem at the limit. There are no depictions with a clear process of moving, so the topic remains open. Second, the intent. Why attempt such a reckless scale? Did Hatshepsut want to surpass everyone? Or was the obelisk meant for a specific temple project? There are no written confirmations, only informed guesses. And finally, the third layer of the riddle, the level of engineering. The Egyptians clearly had a subtle feel for the properties of stone, for levers, for the distribution of forces, for labor organization. This unfinished giant nudges us to admit their knowledge may have been far deeper than we are used to thinking. Today, the unfinished obelisk lies in the Aswan Quarry, open to visitors, a frozen frame from an ancient construction site. The paradox? It tells almost everything about the process and almost nothing about the real how. On a rise above Brush Creek in southern Ohio winds a giant earthwork effigy, the Great Serpent Mound. Its length is more than 400 meters, the embankment height up to 1.5, the width 20 to 30. The outline is unmistakable, a serpent with a coiled tail and an open mouth swallowing an oval mound, as if an egg. It became known in the 19th century, and today it is the largest effigy mound in the world and a World Heritage Site. The construction is multi-layered, clays, stone, carefully compacted horizons. The location is no accident either. The plateau was formed by the effects of an ancient meteor impact. The landscape here is unusual. The main mystery, who, and why. For a long time, the monument was attributed to the Adena culture, known for its mounds. But radiocarbon dates from charcoal inside the embankments more often point to the 11th century CE and the Fort Ancient culture. There is evidence of rebuilds. Perhaps the mound was renewed and reinterpreted. Why a serpent? Many versions. The oval in the mouth, an egg, a symbol of fertility. Or the sun. Then, the whole composition is about cosmic cycles. Astronomical alignments are noted as well. The head points toward sunset on the day of the summer solstice. Bends may correspond to lunar extremes. Coincidence or precise cosmography? There are no direct written testimonies, and the oral traditions of indigenous peoples bearing serpent symbolism are hard to link rigidly to this specific object due to the time gap. Research shows impressive craftsmanship. Layers were laid neatly, materials were chosen deliberately, the labor was collective and well coordinated. But the final meaning still slithers, like the serpent itself. In 1952, among the Dead Sea Scrolls in the caves near Qumran, they found not parchment and not papyrus, but two strips of finely worked copper, once joined with rivets. The text is not a prayer and not a sectarian rule, but an inventory of treasure caches. 64 secret places, talents of gold and silver, vessels, and precise clues. In the cistern under the steps, 40 talents of silver. In the cave of the old laundry, 70 talents. The language is rough, technical Hebrew. The date, about the 1st century CE, the time of the temple's destruction, year 70. A logical version. This is a record of temple wealth hidden before the catastrophe. Another, property of the Essene community or wealthy families. But the main question, where is the hoard? Decades of searching, without result. Skeptics say the text is ritual, symbolic. Proponents of reality say the treasures were either found earlier or they still await their shliman. The history of hunts in the 1960s added scandal, and scholars rightly warn, the chase for gold must not eclipse the historical context. But the fact itself is unique. Nothing like it, a metallic map of treasure, exists elsewhere in the ancient world. The Copper Scroll is a perfect lure for the imagination. Near the town of Karnak stretches kilometers of Neolithic menhirs, more than 3,000 standing stones. Straight rows for hundreds of meters, circles, groups, nearby, dolmens and tumuli. The stones are of different sizes, from boulders to giants. The labor to transport and erect them without wheels and iron was colossal. There must have been organization and intent. What intent? An observatory? A ritual landscape? Boundaries? An ancestor cult? Unlike Stonehenge, there are no lintel trilithons here. The composition is less architectural and therefore harder to interpret. Modern aerial imaging and LiDAR reveal a scale far wider than tourist postcards. This is a whole country of stones. Access to part of the fields is now restricted to protect the soil. This restrains excavations, but preserves the monument. And the stones continue to keep silence. In the late 1930s near Baghdad, small clay vessels were found, about 13 centimeters high. Inside was a copper can, sealed with bitumen, and an iron rod inserted into the center. On a scientist's table, this simple combination suddenly looked like a galvanic cell. Replicas filled with acidic liquid, vinegar, grape juice, indeed produced a weak current. The dating is roughly from the 2nd century BCE to the 2nd century CE, the Parthian-Sasanian period. Hence the mid-20th century hypothesis. What if ancient Mesopotamia knew electricity? But let's break. No wires, devices, or traces of electrochemical plating have been found in archaeological context. And although the idea of electroplating is sometimes voiced, confirmed objects with such coding from that era do not exist. The context of the finds is also tricky. There are few vessels, all from the Baghdad area, and they were not recovered in an ideal excavation but by collecting. So we teeter between two shores. Either these are household vessels reinterpreted after the fact, or a hint of early understanding of chemical reactions. Most specialists today are cautious. It is more correct to call them enigmatic artifacts, rather than proof of lost electrical engineering. But admit it, the very possibility is enchanting. The Ajanta Caves in Maharashtra are a masterpiece of Buddhist art. 30 rock-cut grottos, carved into a bend of cliff above a gorge. Dates range from the 2nd century BCE to the 6th century CE. Inside are sculptures, colonnades, and most importantly, frescoes, jatakas, scenes from the Buddha's life, courtly life. Everything is vivid, lively, detailed. But how did artists work in the depths of caves with almost no daylight? There is no soot on the vaults, so torches and sooty lamps are unlikely. One version, reflected light, polished bronze mirrors, vessels with water directing sunbeams into the depths. Another, clean lamps with special wicks and oils producing minimal smoke. Direct evidence is scarce. The riddle holds. The painting technique is complex. Mineral pigments on a thin plaster, hues have lasted 1.5 millennia. Faces, jewelry, textiles are rendered finely, meaning the masters truly saw the surface well. How exactly did they turn on the light? The question is open and alluring. On the high plateaus of western Bolivia, around Mount Ñato Sayama, lies a gigantic network of geoglyphs, the Sajama lines. The area is about 22,000 square kilometers. These are not figures like at Nazca, but mostly straight paths, stretching for many kilometers across hills and valleys. From the air, like a gigantic grid. They are made simply. The dark surface layer was removed, exposing light soil. But the simplicity is deceptive. Many lines run across rugged terrain almost perfectly straight for tens of kilometers. Without optics, without theodolites, how? Likely the labor of many generations and clear landmarks in the landscape and on the horizon. What for? They are too narrow and uneven for roads. Version 1. They linked sacred places, shrines, cholpas, burial towers, apu, significant peaks. Version 2. Ceremonial routes, ritual axis lines of the cosmos. Version 3. Community boundaries. But the network is so vast and interwoven that a single reason is unlikely to explain everything. There is no written tradition. Oral information is fragmentary. Satellites revealed the scale, but not the meaning. This is one of humanity's largest and most mysterious drawings on the Earth. On the east shore of the island of Pohnpei, FSM, lies the ruined city of Nan Madol, more than 90 artificial islets on a coral reef connected by canals. On the islets are walls of basalt prisms up to 8 meters high, courtyards, tombs. From the 12th to the 16th centuries, this was the ceremonial and political center of the Saudalur dynasty. Mystery number 1, construction. The basalt columns weigh tons. There were no metal tools, no wheels, no draft animals. How were such masses quarried, transported, and laid? There are legends of supernatural power and hypotheses about rafts and hauling, but a full engineering recipe is still lacking. Mystery number 2, the location. A city on a reef is vulnerable to storms and tsunamis. Why go onto the water? Perhaps the rulers demonstrated separation from common people and control over the elements. There is also an idea of defense, but the canal network does not look convenient for large-scale protection. At its peak, a few hundred nobles plus service people, specialized islets, kitchens, priests, tombs. In the 17th century, the center was abandoned. A coup, ecological difficulties, the logistics of supply, likely causes. But the key answer, how they mobilized and coordinated resources for such long-term construction still lies ahead. In 1887, in a field near Glasgow, the priest antiquarian James Harvey uncovered a gigantic flat sandstone slab, about 13 by 8 meters, covered like a star map, with mysterious symbols, spirals, concentric rings, pathways, and dozens of cup depressions, one of the largest arrays of Neolithic and Bronze Age cup and ring art in Europe. What is it? Astronomy? Boundaries? Rituals? A map of the land? There is no firm answer. The era had no writing, and direct parallels are few. The stone's story is dramatic. By the mid-20th century, both interest and vandalism. In 1965, the slab was buried to save it. In 2016, it was briefly uncovered, scanned in three-dimensional detail, and reburied. Now the digital copy is studied while the original is safe. Why did ancient people invest so much effort into abstractions on open rock? Why are similar signs scattered from Spain to Scandinavia? The Cocknose stone is like the voice of an era we can hear, but not understand. Sometimes symbols say more by what they leave unsaid. And now guess. If you stood on this slab 3,000 years ago, what would you see? A map of the sky, a map of the earth, or a map of the soul? On the limestone ridges of southeastern Pakistan stretches one of the largest and least known prehistoric industrial complexes, the Rohri flint mines. Here, high-quality flint was quarried for millennia. From the lower Paleolithic, more than 200,000 years ago, and especially intensively in the times of the Indus civilization, about 2,600 to 1,900 BCE. The landscape, thousands of pits and carpets of debitage, kilometers of production tails. Organization is a mystery. Centralized control by the Indus elite, or a network of independent workshops? The Indus script is undeciphered. There are no direct documents, but the scales hint at planning, logistics, standards. Why then are such vital minds so poorly studied? Politics, climate, and simple inaccessibility all play roles. We love palaces and seals, while the industrial blackened hands of civilizations remain in the shadows. Meanwhile, without flint sickles, drills, knives, there would be no fields and no cities. Rohri reminds us, the foundation of history is also the quarries where stones rang. In 1894, gold miners in a Shikani bog near Yekaterinburg found fragments of a huge wooden object. From the pieces they assembled a vertical figure with human visages and geometric ornament. Before us is the Shigir idol, now dated to about 12,500 years ago, the oldest known preserved wooden sculpture in the world. The original height was about 5.5 meters. Today, 2.8 survive. It was carved from a larch trunk covered with zigzags, fir tree patterns, chevrons, and closely set faces, as if a pantheon of spirits or a chain of ancestors. The age is Mesolithic, before agriculture, meaning that even then there existed complex symbols and large collective projects. The bog conserved the wood, allowing study of the finest cuts. Three-dimensional scanning preserves the details, but the meaning is in a fog. A totem? A cosmogony? A storytelling pillar for rituals? There's almost nothing to compare it with, and therein lies the idol's power. It opens a window into the mental world of hunter-gatherers and immediately drops the curtain. In 1986, speleologists in caves on Mount Owen stumbled upon a huge mummified claw, skin and flesh still on it. It looked like it had been torn off yesterday. It turned out to be the foot of a moa, a giant flightless bird long extinct. Moa included several species, from turkey-like to giants, 3 to 4 meters tall, herbivores, masters of New Zealand's pre-colonial ecosystem. It is believed they were driven to extinction by hunting and environmental changes in the 14th-15th centuries. So, how such a fresh claw? The answer: the cave climate, cold and dry, ideal for natural mummification. Analyses attributed it to a mountain, comparatively small species. But the find stoked imagination. What if some populations lasted longer? Science overall leans toward the classic extinction scenario, but the living object itself reminds us. The story of species disappearance is rarely instantaneous, and in the backcountry, the world keeps surprises. See, as if the claw says, you have not found everything yet. The year 1961, a Neolithic settlement of the Vinča culture. The archaeologist Nikolai Vlasa finds 3 small clay tablets, rectangular, round, and rounded with holes for suspension. On them are shallow but clear incisions, grids, crosses, abstract signs, as if pictograms of animals and objects. The cultural layer dates to around 5,300 BCE. Here a debate flares up. Is this early writing, earlier than Sumerian? Or a complex system of signs, but still pre-alphabetic? Proponents of writing see repeated signs and linearity, that is, order. They point to the wider corpus of Vinča symbols across the Balkans. Hundreds of objects bear similar signs, and the tablets are the pinnacle of the tradition. Skeptics remind us, the tablets themselves were fired later, possibly in a fire. The direct date is blurry, and most importantly, writing demands a corpus of texts, and here we have scraps. Call it what you will. The lesson is clear. Already in the Neolithic, Europe was playing with abstraction no less boldly than the classic civilizations. Perhaps it is a ritual code, a counting, a community's marking of meanings? The answer is still far off, but the very possibility of Europe's first alphabet tickles the mind. The year 1999, the state of Veracruz. During roadwork, a rectangular slab of serpentinite is found, about 36 by 21 centimeters, covered with signs arranged in horizontal rows. 62 distinguishable symbols: plants, animals, geometry, abstractions. This slab would be called the Cascajal block, and many would see in it the oldest example of writing in the Americas. The context: the Olmecs, the mother culture of Mesoamerica, the 15th to 4th centuries BCE. Before the find, there was debate whether they had a full script. The block seems to answer, yes, the signs proceed as a text, repeat, are organized. But critics object. The artifact is single. There are no parallels. Writing requires a mass of repeated inscriptions. Hence, conclusions are cautious. If this is writing, it predates the Maya, and literacy in Mesoamerica arose earlier and independently of the Old World. And if it is pre-writing, it is still powerful evidence of how early societies arranged the world into signs.
And for the finale, I have saved a few stories to which you could easily devote a whole film. These are no longer just finds, but real scripts for blockbusters, gigantic megaliths, underground cities and civilizations that seem to fall out of the familiar picture of history. The Yangshan Quarry, megaliths. No one could move. On the outskirts of the city of Nanjing, in China's Jiangsu province, lies the Yangshan Quarry, a place where stone has been quarried for many centuries. But in the 15th century, during the reign of Emperor Yongle of the Ming dynasty, something out of the ordinary began here. This was not just another quarry, but a construction site of truly imperial scale. The emperor envisioned a grand mausoleum. Part of the Ming Shaoling complex was to be adorned with a gigantic stele, a vertical stone monument in his honor. For this purpose, workers began cutting stone blocks from the mountain so enormous that even by today's standards, they inspire awe. And here is where it gets most interesting. The project froze halfway. Stone masses, each weighing thousands of tons, were left in the quarry. They were not just unused, they could not even be completely extracted. The largest block is still connected to the bedrock, and by estimates weighs about 16,000 tons. You heard that right. 16,000 tons. That is heavier than modern naval destroyers. Next to it lie two more blocks, slightly smaller, but still of monstrous size. Historians believe that all three monoliths were intended for a gigantic stele, a monument that was to secure forever the memory of a mighty emperor. Instead, they remained forever part of the quarry itself. Their rough faces, sharp-cut lines, and unnatural scale today look like a scene from a science fiction film. Now picture this spectacle. Under the scorching sun, thousands of workers with hammers and chisels day after day strike, form out of monolith. Each blow echoes across the region. The stone does not give in. The work advanced slowly, physically exhausting, and every centimeter was the result of incredible labor. And then, the snag. Because carving the block is only the beginning. It still had to be delivered to the site, and the mausoleum was a few kilometers away. Without wheels, cranes, excavators, or other machinery. How? Wooden sleds, a system of rollers, hundreds of people relieving one another? These are only guesses, and it seems the Chinese themselves at some point realized they had overreached. Most likely, the blocks turned out to be too heavy to move. Perhaps even the rough calculations showed the task was impossible, or perhaps resources simply ran out. The Ming era is famous for its gigantic building projects, from the Forbidden City to the Great Wall. It is logical to assume that manpower and materials were reallocated to more realistic goals. One way or another, the project was halted, abruptly and definitively. And that perhaps makes the Yangshan quarry even more captivating. These masses were not destroyed, repurposed, or hidden. They still lie in place as if waiting for their hour, or perhaps for a new generation of builders who will dare to complete what was begun 6 centuries ago. Dolmens, stone tables from all over the world. For the finale, we will look at one of the most global and at the same time least understood traditions. Dolmens, stone tables, structures of gigantic slabs that can be found in Ireland, France, the Middle East, Korea, India, and even in Africa. Usually a dolmen consists of several vertical slabs and a single horizontal one, the capstone weighing dozens and sometimes hundreds of tons. Often they were part of burial mounds, but the earth has disappeared over time, leaving only the skeleton. What is astonishing, these structures were built all over the world long before anyone could imagine that the earth is round, not to mention intercontinental contacts. How did it happen that Ireland and South Korea came up with the same thing? The most famous dolmens are Pulnabrone in Ireland, weighing about 70 tons, and Brownshill, whose capstone weighs more than 100. And in Korea, there are thousands of such dolmens. Some are so massive that the engineering calculations bewilder even modern builders. Why were they built? The most widespread version, they are burials. Bones, ceramics, ornaments are found around them. But there are other hypotheses: observatories, sanctuaries, beacons, even portals to the spirit world. And the symbolism may vary. Perhaps dolmens were a sign of territory, the power of a clan, a connection with ancestors. But here is what is strange. Building such monuments required many people, resources, and time. And all this without wheels, without iron, without cranes. Only will, stone, and, it seems, a great purpose. This speaks of the presence in these societies of strong organization and perhaps religious motivation. So dolmens are not just stone furniture. They are a global archetype, a reminder that ancient people thought on a grand scale and believed that stone could not only stand for centuries, but also speak for them across time. The big circles, Stone schematics for the gods? We jump from ancient China to a place utterly different. No gold, no bronze statues, only dry earth, sparse shrubs, and endless horizons. Before us, the deserts of Jordan and Syria. And here, in the most unexpected place, circles have been found. Not in fields, and not made of wheat. Stone circles, and so enormous that they can be fully seen only from the sky. The story began in the 1920s, when British Royal Air Force pilots flew over the Middle East. From above, they noticed something odd. Perfect circles laid out of stone against the chaotic desert landscape. From the ground, they are almost invisible, but from the air, they stand out at once. Huge geometric forms against the background of sand and rock. Who made them, and why? In those years, of course, archaeology was not the priority. Things were limited to a few notes and sketches. Only in the 21st century, with the rise of satellite imagery, did researchers turn their attention to these strange objects again. And it turned out there are not just one or two, but more than a dozen in Jordan and several more in Syria. The most amazing part? They are almost perfect circles, each about 400 meters in diameter. That is like 4 football fields in length. The walls are low, only about 1 meter high. They are made of local stone, without mortar. The wall widths vary, but one thing is clear. These are not fortresses, not barriers, not animal traps. Too low, too open. And here, the fun begins. Why build them at all? First, thought. Boundaries. Maybe someone wanted to mark territory, to say, "Hey neighbor, this is ours." Such circles are visible from afar, especially from hills. But if so, why are there no signs, no entrances, no artifacts inside? Second idea, ritual platforms. Think of them as stadiums, only without stands and without spectators. Huge open spaces where tribes gathered once a season to perform rites, sacrifices, or dances with drums, quite literally. One fact speaks in favor of this version. It is hard to enter them. Some circles do not even have passages, as if people were not meant to go inside at all. Third hypothesis, artistic. Imagine the desert as a canvas, and these circles, giant symbols, geoglyphs, like the famous Nazca lines in Peru, visible from above as if drawn for someone looking from the sky. Gods, spirits, cosmic observers, who knows? Archaeologists are scratching their heads. There is no organic material for radiocarbon dating. There are almost no artifacts. Dating is difficult, but by assumption, the circles are at least 2,000 years old, and perhaps older. Other strange stone structures are found in these lands, the so-called desert kites. They were used for hunting. They channeled animals into traps. But our circles are nothing like them. No funnels, no guiding walls. Too round, too precise, too strange. And one more detail. Wherever a circle is found, whether in Jordan or Syria, it is almost the same size, as if someone distributed a blueprint, or there were the same teachers. But there is no writing, almost no traces of a culture, only stones, silent, straight, eternal. Tell me, would you lay out a perfect circle 400 meters in diameter without an important reason? Under a scorching sun, in a desert, without shade, without water? Spend weeks, months of labor on something that brings no practical use? It is either religion or art, or something we do not yet understand. Today we can see them, measure them, even scan them with drones. But to understand them, not yet. For now, they are merely stone outlines against the eternal sand. A reminder that ancient people could be no less strange, dreamy, and unpredictable than we are. Derinkuyu, the underground megalopolis no one knew about, and now an abrupt change of direction, from a dusty Chinese quarry to the very heart of Turkey. Do not rush to look at the map. Even if you are standing right above this place, you will see nothing, because the next wonder is buried underground. It was built not upwards, but downwards. It all began with a banal renovation. In 1963, a man from Cappadocia, but that picturesque region in central Turkey, decided to take down a wall in his basement, and he stumbled upon a tunnel. Not a pipe, not a mine shaft, but a genuine passage in rock. Curiosity took over. He went farther. It turned out that behind the wall hid an entire labyrinth of rooms, corridors, and stairways, all of it hewn straight into the rock. Thus, the ancient underground city of Derinkuyu was rediscovered, one of the largest in the world. Today, we know that it descends to a depth of about 60 meters. That is like a 20-story building, but downward. And it consists of dozens of levels connected by steep staircases and narrow passages, sometimes so narrow that only one person can pass at a time. In Cappadocia, the bedrock is volcanic tuff. It is soft enough to cut, but holds its shape well if you do not overdo it. People in these parts had been hollowing out houses, storerooms, and granaries in it for thousands of years. But Derinkuyu is a completely different scale. It is not a temporary shelter, not a cellar or a refuge. It is a fully fledged underground city, with schools, storerooms, halls, stables, and even chapels. Imagine an entire district, but hidden in stone. When archaeologists began to study the city, they were stunned by the scale. Kitchens with soot-blackened ceilings, the traces of centuries of cooking, rooms with niches for storing wine, oil, and grain, halls where large groups of people could gather, spaces resembling classrooms or assembly halls. And now, guess how many people could take shelter in this stone anthill? Up to 20,000, together with animals. Ventilation is a masterpiece unto itself. More than 50 shafts supplied fresh air at all levels. Some of them simultaneously served as wells. One could draw water without going to the surface. Animals were kept on the upper levels, so they would not have to be driven up and down the stairways. In case of danger, huge round stone doors, like plugs, could block the passages between levels. But Derinkuyu is not just a fortified bunker. There are chapels and prayer rooms. This means that even underground, life was not limited to survival. There was also a spiritual side. Everything is arranged so that people could live here not merely for weeks, but for months, completely cut off from the outside world. The history of Cappadocia is a succession of civilizations. The Hittites, the Phrygians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Byzantines, the Seljuks, the Ottomans. The region was rich, but vulnerable. Trade routes passed through it, which means an influx of wealth, but also a constant threat of raids. Who began to dig out Derinkuyu is not entirely clear. Possibly the Phrygians in the 8th or 7th century BCE, or the Hittites 1,000 years earlier. The city expanded generation after generation. By the Byzantine period, it was certainly in active use. Christians hid here, fleeing persecution. Later, people took shelter from Arab raids. Some researchers believe that Derinkuyu was connected to other underground cities, a network of tunnels stretching tens of kilometers. In other words, it could have been an underground megalopolis hidden beneath the hills. And now, let us think. How was all this built at all? Tough, maybe soft, but it is not sand. Thousands of tons of rock had to be taken somewhere. All of it was carried out by hand. Lighting, oil lamps. Imagine working underground without ventilation and light, with smoke from fire. This means ventilation shafts were planned in advance, before the digging began. That is already engineering planning. Even the architecture is thought out. The walls and ceilings were not just hollowed out. They distribute the weight to prevent collapse. Where needed, load-bearing pillars were left. The older parts are rough and narrow, the newer ones, neater and more spacious. This means the city was built over centuries, and each new people made its improvements. Most archaeologists believe Derinkuyu was a refuge, a place where one could descend in case of war or siege. But one question remains. Why make it so enormous? Why not just a shelter for a couple of days, but an entire underground world? Was it really so dangerous above ground? Perhaps it was not only about threats. Underground, it is cool, excellent for storing food and wine. Or perhaps it was a temporary camp for traders. Or even a year-round settlement for a certain circle of the chosen. We know one thing for sure. It is not the only such city. More than 200 underground complexes have been found in Cappadocia, and many of them, according to ground-penetrating radar, are linked by tunnels. Sanxingdui, masks that do not fit any culture. After the somber tunnels under Cappadocia, it is time to emerge into the light. The next chapter of the story is no less mysterious. This time, we will not go underground. On the contrary, we will peer deep into time through what was extracted from the earth: gold, jade, and bronze. Welcome to Sanxingdui. The story begins in 1929, when a farmer in China's Sichuan province was digging a ditch and accidentally came upon something strange: pieces of carved jade. The find was not given much attention at the time, and it got lost in the archives. A pity, because decades later, in the 1980s, archaeologists decided to return to this place, and they were literally stunned. They found two gigantic pits filled with thousands of objects: masks, statues, swords, ornaments, strange figures. But that was not what astonished the scholars. It was what they saw. These artifacts were different, completely different. Unlike anything previously found in China, as if they had been created by a parallel civilization. The most striking were the bronze masks, huge, up to 1 meter wide, with eyes protruding outward in tube-like forms, like antennae. Some with massive noses, sharp lines, grotesque shapes, as if masks for titans or extraterrestrials. That is not a metaphor. You really look at them as it's something not of this earth. And these are not one-off pieces. They number in the hundreds. Bronze figures in full height. One is more than 2 meters tall. It probably once held something in its hands, possibly an ivory object that has not survived. There are tree sculptures nearly 4 meters high, with delicate branches and curved leaves. There are masks covered with gold foil. There are jade daggers and figurines of fantastic animals. And now, guess who made all this? For a long time, it was believed that, in those times, the center of bronze culture in China was the Shang dynasty. But the finds of Sanxingdui overturned that notion, because their style is absolutely different. Where the Shang are strict, symmetrical, with precise forms, here there is exuberance, abstraction, powerful lines, and strange images, as if an entirely different aesthetic, and essentially, so it is. Today, scholars link Sanxingdui to the ancient kingdom of Shu, which existed in the Sichuan Basin about 3,000 years ago. Geography is a key point. Shu was cut off from the Yellow River civilizations by mountains and rivers. Possibly for that reason, its culture developed independently in its own way. But here is the hitch. No writing remains, no chronicles, no inscriptions, no explanations. We know everything only from the artifacts. And they tell us this: this civilization had master casters of the highest class, a religious or priestly elite, and trade with far-off lands. Among the finds are seashells, ivory, and stones not found in the region. This means they exchanged goods with quite distant cultures. And then it all ended. The city emptied. Why? We do not know. Perhaps the climate changed, perhaps resources were exhausted, or something terrible happened, a flood, an epidemic, a war. But the people left, and the memory of them almost disappeared. Almost. The biggest enigma is the eyes, those bulging tube-shaped eyes on the masks. They recur again and again. What are they? Images of gods? Symbols of clairvoyance? Ritual masks? Some researchers believe this is a symbol of spiritual sight, that these figures look not at us, but through us. Some see in this an echo of legends about divine rulers. Others, simply a unique aesthetic. But something else is even more intriguing. Why is there nothing similar among the neighbors, even among those literally 200 kilometers away? The Shang dynasty, at its height when Sanxingdui flourished, did produce bronzes, yes, but not such masks, not such forms. This prompts one to wonder, is Sanxingdui an isolated culture, or an inheritance from an even more ancient people unknown to us? And the final question, why did all these items end up in sacrificial pits? They were not lost. They were deliberately buried. Some are scorched. Some are broken. Were these sacrifices, rituals marking the end of an era, or an attempt to hide them from an impending threat? Whatever it was, Sanxingdui is a true blow to our templates. It forced historians to reconsider how they view ancient China. And perhaps this is only a fragment of something much larger that still awaits discovery beneath layers of soil. The submerged cairn of the Sea of Galilee, a monument hidden underwater. When archaeologists say unexpected, believe me, it truly means off-plan. So it was in 2003, when scholars were surveying the bottom of the Sea of Galilee, also known as Lake Kinneret, in northern Israel. Using sonar, they scanned the bottom topography and suddenly noticed a strange anomaly. The signals showed that beneath the water, at depth, lies something massive, very massive, and very regular in shape. A huge cone-shaped structure rose 9 meters above the lakebed, like an underwater pyramid. Its diameter was 70 meters. Its mass, about 60,000 tons. Yes, that is no joke. 60,000 tons of stone laid by hand. Of course, the first reaction, natural formation. But when divers went down, doubts vanished. This is man-made. The stones, basalt boulders, are laid in courses. Without mortar, just the force of gravity and the builder's precise hands. And now, the detective story begins. Who built it? When? And most of all, why? By its form, the object resembles a cairn, a mound typically associated with burial or ritual. Similar structures are found in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. But underwater, that is rare, especially of such scale. Dating the object is not simple. Water and silt do not favor the preservation of organics. But by comparing it with analogous structures on land, scholars suggest the cairn may be from the Bronze Age, which would make it roughly 4,000 years old. Interestingly, if that is true, then at the time of construction, it was not underwater. The lake level, then, was likely lower. It follows that the monument stood on dry land or in marshy ground near the shore. And then, what? Climatic changes? A rise in the water level? Or an earthquake? One way or another, today it is completely hidden beneath the lake's smooth surface. And had it not been for modern instruments, we would never have known of its existence. But pause for a second. How could something like this be built without cranes, tractors, and trucks? 60,000 tons, that is like dozens of modern tanks. Each boulder weighs hundreds of kilograms. They had to be hauled from a quarry, brought to the site, laid carefully, and then shaped into a stable cone. If it was built on land, it is hard enough. But if, after all, it was done in shallow water, then the task becomes many times more difficult. Manipulating heavy stones underwater is acrobatics at special forces level. What about purpose? There are several theories. 1. The cairn was a tomb, perhaps for a chieftain, a shaman, a hero. 2. A ritual structure, a place of sacrifices, ceremonies, meetings with the spirits of ancestors. 3. A navigational marker. The lake served as an important node on ancient trade routes. Such a structure could have been a beacon of the ancient world, but there are no inscriptions, no bones, no artifacts found yet. Only stones, many stones, silent. What is especially intriguing, there is nothing like it nearby. No other cairns, no remains of settlements. It stands alone, as a monument to something long gone, as an alien object that surfaced in the records by chance, a happy accident. So was this cairn part of an ancient shoreline? Or was it deliberately immersed as something sacred? Perhaps we will never know. At least, not yet. But it has already given us something important. A reminder that the greatest mysteries sometimes lie not in jungles, nor in deserts, nor underground, but right underwater, in places where no one expects them. The Great Enclosure of Great Zimbabwe, an empire in stone. Now we head south, to the green hills of Zimbabwe, where lie the ruins of one of the most enigmatic and large-scale structures on the African continent. This is Great Zimbabwe, the ancient city whose name today belongs to an entire country. And no, it was not built by Phoenicians, nor by lost Egyptians, nor by Europeans, as colonial archaeologists once tried to claim. It is the creation of Africans, and truly impressive. The most famous part of the city is the so-called Great Enclosure, a vast ellipsoidal complex of stone. Its walls, more than 11 meters high and 5 meters thick, stand without a single drop of cement. Only perfectly fitted granite blocks, laid with minimal gaps, by eye, with centuries of practice, with skills passed from master to apprentice. The total perimeter is about 250 meters, and inside, towers, narrow passages, terraces, and a mysterious conical tower. Without an entrance, without windows, without a functional purpose, but rich in symbolism. Some believe it symbolized a granary, a sign of abundance. Others, that it was purely ritual. Walking through the inner corridors, you enter a labyrinth where the view is limited and the path seems subject to a script. Perhaps this was done deliberately, to direct, to slow, to make one feel respect or even awe. Before whom? Before the ruler? Before the spirits? The entire complex was likely a politico-religious center, a place where power and faith intertwined. Stone here was not just building material, but a language of strength and sacredness. And you know what is striking? The scale of trade. In the ruins are found Chinese porcelain, Persian ceramics, Arab coins, glass beads from the Indian Ocean. That is, Great Zimbabwe was part of extensive trade routes. Gold, cattle, metal passed through it. But by the 15th century, the city gradually emptied. There are many versions. Pasture depletion, shifts in trade routes, political upheavals. But the remaining walls are still here. And they remind us that before colonial history, there were empires on this land. And these empires left not a myth, but real, enduring architecture. The Ubaid lizard-headed figurines, reptiles from the depths of time. Now we will leap even farther back in time, to ancient Mesopotamia. Southern Iraq, the early 20th century. British archaeologists excavate the old settlements of Ur, Eridu, and Tel al-Ubaid, and they find something unexpected. Small clay figurines, only their faces are not human. They resemble reptiles, elongated snouts, huge almond-shaped eyes, smooth crania, sometimes with crests. And the bodies are entirely human. Some hold infants. And, most strangely, the infants also have such lizard-headed faces. In total, several dozens of such figurines have been found. Some are detailed to the smallest elements, clothing, jewelry, even emotions. Who are they? Gods? People in masks? Heroes of forgotten myths? Or symbols of something we can no longer decipher? The Ubaid culture existed roughly from the 5th to the 4th millennia BCE and is considered a precursor of Sumerian civilization. There were already temples, irrigation, pottery, domestic animals. Trade ran along the Persian Gulf, but writing did not yet exist, and everything we know about the beliefs of these people comes from artifacts. Some think these figurines depict shamans in transformation, fused with the spirits of animals. Others, that they are totemic beings or images of deities connected to the underworld. And some propose theories about reptilians, cosmic aliens, and so forth. But let us leave the science fiction to the conscience of Netflix. The fact remains, these figurines are unique. Nothing similar was found in Mesopotamia either before or after. And perhaps we have simply encountered a visual language whose meaning is irretrievably lost, or the echoes of myths that will never be told again. If at least one of these mysteries blew your mind today, you know what to do. Write your thoughts and possible explanations for these riddles in the comments, give the video a rating, and you can also write the keyword rocket. That way I will know that you watched it right to the very end. And right now, go and watch the previous incredible episodes on the TopFacts channel. They have already appeared on your screen.